In the Phantom Forces community, there's a common belief that shotguns are overpowered. This belief is often presented by these 2 points. Shotguns don't require you to aim, and shotguns have too much range. In my opinion, this simply isn't true, and the balancing issues this game faces, for the most part, don't have anything to do with this category of weapons. In this video, I'll explain why.
I got some
I'm gonna start with my understanding of how shotguns work in this game. For every shell fired, one projectile will behave normally, no dispersion, and the rest of the projectiles will randomly deviate from the point of aim based on the gun's velocity and choke. This creates a cone which gets wider over distance, and your point of aim is the center. The cone is still affected by bullet drop, which is substantial in shotguns, so the user must account for this while also aiming at the target as best as they can to increase the chance of getting a hit. In my eyes, this basically disproves the idea that shotguns don't require you to aim, because the user is heavily rewarded for aiming by getting a guaranteed hit. This brings us to the next point. Shotguns have too much range. People often say that they were one-tapped by a KS-23M or a Remington 870 at ludicrous distances. What's really happening most of the time is that these players were injured before getting shot at, and as we discussed before, if the shotgun user aimed properly, then they're guaranteed a hit. But the best way to prove this is by simply testing it. So I gathered some friends and went into a private server to test a few shotguns at the approximate ranges of 140 and 220 studs. We tested standing versus prone as well. Before I show the results, I do want to admit that because shotgun dispersion is pretty random chance, your results may vary. We did test multiple times to account for this, but there's always that once-in-a-lifetime shot that can occur. First we have the Remington 870. At 220 studs, we averaged 4 aim shots to kill. This means that out of 4 shots fired, only 1 managed 2 hits. When the target went prone, we averaged 5 hits to kill. This is just me accounting for bullet drop and aiming the 1 accurate pellet at the head. If you didn't even aim at the head, it would have taken 6. This gave the Remington 870 a time to kill of 1.2 seconds, which is awful compared to pretty much any weapon from any other category. But this is okay since shotguns are for mid and close range. When the target went prone, we averaged 5 aim shots to kill, just like when the target went prone at 220 studs. This again shows how much weaker shotguns become when the target is smaller. If you're getting shot at by a shotgun, get on the ground or only expose your head to drastically decrease their damage output, depending on range of course. Next we have the KS-23M with the long barrel. Long barrel simultaneously increases the velocity and decreases the choke, so this is the optimal long-range shotgun setup. Because of this, we did some tests at 300 studs. At this distance, we averaged 4 aim shots to kill while the target was standing. This was because only half of the shots fired resulted in a second hit from randomly deviating projectiles. This gives us a horrendous time to kill of 2.8 seconds. Not only would the target have to stand still and expose their entire hitbox for this long, but you would also have to aim 4 low-velocity projectiles perfectly, otherwise you'd have to reload since the magazine only has a capacity of 3+1. Compare this to an assault rifle or LMG tap firing below its normal fire rate. Let's say the SCAR-L shooting at 350 RPM. The difference is substantial. Our time to kill drops down to half a second and the user still has 27 or 26 bullets left. But let's move on to a more reasonable test. At 220 studs, the KS-23M with the long barrel averaged 3 aimed shots to kill. Some of you might see this as the gun being too powerful, but let's take a second to compare. The KS-23M has a fire rate of 65 rounds per minute and a velocity of 1575 when using the long barrel. This gives it an RPM similar to a sniper and the velocity of a PDW. The long barrel also limits its maneuverability, which again puts it at the level of a sniper. However, unlike a sniper, this gun takes 3 shots to kill in perfect conditions. Perfect conditions for a Remington 700 or a Mosin Nagant would be 1 hit to kill, and long distance accuracy is made easier with their substantially higher velocities. When the target went prone, we averaged 3 aim shots to kill again, but it was closer to 4 this time. Out of 5 shots fired, 3 resulted in a second hit. The damage would range from 19 to 43 per shot. At 140 studs, the KS-23M with the long barrel averaged 2 aim shots to kill. This puts it on par with most snipers, which is okay because of its similar RPM, low velocity, small magazine, longer empty reload, and similar maneuverability. This gun rewards you for accuracy, as you can see here. When I didn't aim directly at the target, I didn't get a hit, and if I aimed close to the target but not quite accurately, I was only getting a single hit, which at this distance is around 25 damage. We got similar results to a single KS-23M shot when we used the DB shotgun on burst mode. This indicates to me that the DB might be in need of some kind of buff, maybe a reload speed or a choke buff. Here are the results. We didn't test prone targets or single barrel. Lastly, we tested the jury with flechette ammo at 140 studs. This has an average of 2 aim shots to kill. I'd consider the jury with flechette ammo to be a bit powerful in comparison to the rest of the shotguns due to its high velocity and really low choke. It also has the same fire rate as the AA-12 and 1.5 studs of wall penetration. I personally don't understand why using flechette on the 410 shotguns increases the amount of projectiles without hurting the hits to kill, and I think this should be fixed. Either have the flechette ammo decrease the maximum damage, or decrease the number of projectiles to 4. Even with this shotgun being well above the rest of the shotguns, I can't really call it overpowered due to its limitations. It's better than most shotguns, but it's still inferior to the meta. Like all other shotguns, an LMG or low recoil auto will almost always beat this weapon unless you're within the range where it can one-shot kill. For that reason, I also consider shotguns to be balanced at close range, except for one. The AA-12 is controversial. I personally can't stand the AA-12 with the drum magazine on maps where it's in its element, but on maps where you aren't forced into CQB, it's easily countered and avoidable. Keeping your distance from the sound of the AA-12 and being aware of where the user is will prevent it from being a threat on most maps with longer sight lines. But I think that there are some weapons that just can't be added into the games without making them a neutered version of their real-life counterparts. I think they should have never added the AA-12's 20-round drum in the same way I think they should have never added the M107. Some guns are very specialized and as a result, hard to balance. On old Mirage, if you sat in the back of the map with an M107, you basically achieved immortality. The AA-12 does the same thing on close-range maps like Bazaar. Sorry this one took a while. Thanks for watching all the way through. If you think I missed something important, let me know. And if this requires a second video, might as well, right?